worked so hard to get back, and so anytime you see something like that happen, you hate it. My oldest daughter actually had 3 ACL injuries, and so I've experienced this on a very, very personal level, and it's really devastating. It's devastating for the person that has to go through it, and so we'll see what this means for him going forward, and obviously it certainly ends his season. Whether what impact it has on his future, we'll figure that out in due time. So disappointed for the team, but really disappointed for Krishan. So and then obviously opening game coming up Friday night against what looks to me like to be a very talented Eastern Michigan team. A team with really good size and some very good shot makers. Very not reminiscent, but they resemble Syracuse very strongly, and for obvious reasons, and so it'll be 40 minutes of zone and a team that has length and some athleticism and some very, very good shot making. So we'll got to get ready for that, and a little bit of an odd way to come out of the gate. You don't typically see somebody throw 40 minutes of zone at you in the first game, but we've known it was coming, and so hopefully we'll be prepared.
For a season opening game like that, Kevin, for y'all as a coaching staff, when you really start to prepare in earnest for it, start to really look at the team and break them down?
Are you saying when?
Yeah. When?
Oh gosh, a month ago. we like I said, we knew it was coming, and so we've seen a lot of film. Know that they're his own team, know that he was a Boeheim guy, and so we've been preparing our zone offense and our mindset for some time. Now, obviously, you can't just turn your total focus to zone because we play a game 3 days later, and so then you're not ready to pick back up with that. So there's kind of a balance, but now that we're within a few days, we've certainly almost entirely turned our focus to what's going to happen on Friday night and what we need to happen in order to be successful.
What's the process of seeing what you need to improve on in the exhibition, really accelerating that to get ready for the season opener? I mean, what's that kind of condensing all those?
Yeah, I think that probably last week, 3 or 4 days before the season opener, I started feeling that very familiar feeling that I was cramming for an exam, and so we have so many things that need to be put in, and so many things that need to be done, and here we have this exhibition game coming up, and then 5 days later we have a game, and so 6 days later, but anyway. I think that with the experience of our group, that's alleviated some of it. I also think that I'm still having to go more slowly than I want to, and so I have to figure out where the fine line is there and that sort of thing. So I'm still learning about them. They're still learning about me, and the worst thing I can do is take away the things that they're good at because I overload them with things that they have to remember, and then the worst thing I can do is to, after that, is to not have them prepared for whatever it is that they might see. They've had experience playing against this type of zone. They've had success playing against this type of zone. So my job is to get them in the right positions, get their mentality right, because it is a good zone and it is a good team, and then go play.
You have guys, because of how good they pass the ball and shoot the ball, it would seem like playing a zone against you guys is going to be a tough thing to do. I mean, you feel good about your skill set against zone?
I feel good about our skill set versus zones. I certainly do, but I also know that the games bring surprises, and so it's one of those things where you have to be prepared for anything. And while I'm confident in our group, I'm obviously concerned because the first time that you hit the real game, it's just a different. Everybody has a different feeling, including the coaches. So I'm certainly confident in the skill set. I'm confident in our approach, but I also am experienced enough to know that there are going to be some possessions where we're going to need to be very patient and have to grind it out offensively, because this team set a school record for steals last year, and they played zone the entire year. So they're really active in it. They know how to get their hands on balls. They're very good at anticipating, and they turn those steals into points. They turn those turnovers into points. And so we're going to need to be sharp, despite the fact that we do have what seems like a good skill set to play against zone defenses.
Any questions you still need answered with your team? Anything you still are waiting to see or you're curious?
Yeah, I think that I think the exhibition game certainly made me not question, but it made me realize, not that I didn't realize, but it became very clear that our depth is not where it needs to be. We have 6 very experienced guys that really know what they're doing, and I'm very confident in, and we have some other guys that we need to bring along and get those guys game ready. So you can't give them experience until they have experience, and so hopefully we'll be able to get these guys in, get their feet wet, get them in the fire, if you will, and then they'll react appropriately. I didn't think that past our first 6 guys on Saturday in the exhibition game, I didn't think that the rest of our guys had a great look to them.
Just to go back to Friday's game, do you think of all the players it will be more of a challenge their zone for Jamel than anyone else getting his new responsibility?
There might be some things that would challenge Jamel. I'll probably take charge of the things that I think that would challenge him. And I don't really care to say what those would be, but I'll take over some of the things so that they're not on his plate, to where he just kind of has to do pretty much what everybody else has to do, and that's hear what offense I call, or hear what play I call, or hear what set I call, and then get in and run it, as opposed to leaving him with any play calling responsibilities or organizational responsibilities or anything like that. Past that, I would tell you that Jamel may be the best zone offensive player that we have. And so I don't think that, well, first of all, I'm an idiot if I don't make sure that his plate's as clear as it needs to be for him to go be the guy that he is in zone offense. So we'll put him in some strategic spots, hopefully, and probably some similar spots to where he's been in the past, to try to utilize his skill set, which is very considerable against zone defenses.
Were you able to confirm about Krishan whether this knee injury was related to the one that he had suffered like last year, the same?
Well, I mean, it was the one, okay, he's had three. This is the third one. The first one he had was on his right knee. The last two have been on the left. And he was, I mean, related to, it was the same knee. It wasn't related to the last injury. It was just, he went down and I mean, I saw it, and there was really no, I don't want to say nobody near him, there was somebody near him, but there was no contact or anything like that, and his knee just, you know, he was fully healthy, he was fully released in August. He hadn't had any problems to speak of, and it's, you know, again, you know, so I don't know what you mean in terms of related to, because it's a separate injury. It just happens to be the part, in part, the same one that he's had in the past.
Has it been diagnosed yet? Do you know if it's an ACL or what specific?
It's an ACL injury. I don't know that it's a complete tear, but it's also a torn MCL and a torn meniscus.
And then just one more question about that. So I don't know how much you were planning to use him as like one of your 9 guys that you speak of in the lineup, but how will this affect the way that you play?
Well, it limits the options. Krishan had a very good chance of being a guy that was in the 9, and so it puts, I think it puts the spotlight more now on, you know, I would say that Justice has probably worked his way to where he's in there. I would say that now this puts the spotlight more on Damon Wilson and Jonathan Milligan in terms of who that other perimeter player will be, and because if you take Ryan Luther and Justice, and those guys certainly, well, Ryan for sure, Justice seemingly look like they're going to be a part, 7 of the 9, then another guy is going to have to be a big guy in most cases. So, but not in every case. So we'll see what happens with that.
I think because of the way this team used to play, and you come in and talk about offense, people are expecting UNLV 1992 when they come and watch your team play. It looks like you do want them to push the ball, push the tempo, but how much of that is really going to be part of the game once you get into the ACC and once you start getting into conference games where people are more familiar? I mean, how much can people expect the tempo to be dramatically different from what it has?
You know, I don't know. I think some people would probably be surprised to know that I have not watched a single game film from a year ago. So I can't, maybe it's the same. I can't tell you if it's different or not. Sounds like it's a little bit different, but we want to push the tempo, and that won't change. The only thing that I want to be certain of is that we're taking the right kind of shots. We can run as fast as we can to offense, but that doesn't mean we're going to pinch off the first bad shot that we see. We still want to get to a good shot, and just like in Friday's game, we want to push the tempo, and we want to get down and get into offense quickly, but we still want to take the right shots and take shots we can make. And so, you know, we talk in terms of shooting turnovers. You know, you take a bad shot, and it's like a shooting turnover. It's, you know, might as well have just thrown it to them. And so we don't like shooting turnovers any more than we like the other kind of turnovers. But we'll explore and grind until we get the shot that we want. And there are going to be some nights where the defenses force you to play 25 seconds of offense. And if they do, when they do, then we've got to be willing to do it. So it's about scoring. It's not about how fast we play or what pace we run at. We're going to push the ball hard, and that'll be something that I think is very consistent. But hopefully we'll also be finding and taking and making good shots.
This is your first game in the new school, Kevin, in almost, almost 20 years. So, I mean, for you as coach, what's your mindset going into this?
I guess my mindset is, Pliz, did you tell me that the last home opener? You're sure?
Last season opener that Pitt lost, you were the head coach at Illinois State.
Yeah, I guess I would just hate to be the cause of the last two, home opener losses. I didn't mind being the first one, but I'd hate to be this one. So,
He coached against Pitt the last,
Last season opener.
it was probably 1996. I'm going to guess 96, 97.
It was a 19-point game. I don't remember. I think it was 96, 97.
Yeah, because they had to come back to us the next year. Did you look up that score?
It was, yeah.
Worse than that?
Yeah, it was worse than that.
My mindset is simply to do my job, and that is to have these guys as prepared as I can have them in every way, not just to attack a zone or not just to guard some guys that are very good on offense, but to have sort of the mojo right, the confidence right, the attitude right, everybody, raring to go, but not over the top ready, because then that ends up being a negative. So there's just kind of a fine line of where you want them from a readiness standpoint. We refer to it as the art of coaching, and the science of it is it's not all taken care of, but it's close to. We're close to being where we need to be relative to things that we'll do on offense and things that we'll do on defense and that sort of thing. We need reps, certainly, and there are some scheme things that we still need to get done, but right now, I would say more than anything else is to make sure that we're properly prepared mentally to play our best game.
Other than the win, do you remember anything that stood out about that game?
Yeah, I was really surprised that we were winning by so much. I remember that, and I had forgotten that it was the opener. I remember the whole scenario, but by which the whole home and home happened, because back in those days, the high major schools would wait on a national television game. It's not like now to where, every game's on TV. And so they would wait for a high major game. Well, as a mid-major school like we were, you would wait until that high major school didn't get the national TV game, and then they had to play somebody. So we waited patiently, and finally Pitt didn't get a TV game, and so we scheduled a home and home with them. And that was the only way that you could get a home and home in those days when you were kind of that level of school. And I had forgotten it was a home opener, so we played them here that year, and then, I guess unfortunately for them, they had to come back and play my entire same team the next year, and it was the two best teams that I had there. And so, worked out well for us.
You talked to the one scrimmage about your concern that maybe you get too reliant on jump shots. How do you, if your team starts in that mode, I mean, is that something just kind of trying to let happen naturally where they get back to taking better shots, or you know what I mean? If you feel like you're in a game and just because you got a lot of guys that like to shoot it, which is a good thing,
Right.
But,
Right.
how do you?
I think the balance has to come in that we have to understand. We have to understand the value of getting the ball in there, and as a result of getting it in there, getting to the foul line, because that's what occurs. And so, and I do have a concern that our post guys are all gravitating to the perimeter and wanting to shoot jump shots. Now, interestingly enough, the zone could possibly help us with that, because as Bob Knight told me one time, the beauty in a zone offense, zone defense situation is as the defensive coach, you get to decide where you put your defenders, but I get to decide where I put my offensive players. And so, and unlike when you play against man-to-man, when you tend to move everybody around a lot more versus a man and do more screening and do some of those things, against a zone of this nature, you might tend to try to find gaps and openings. There might be less movement, but more attacking of areas. And so I can sort of place my guys where I need them. And so, like I said, that in and of itself might drive some of our post guys in towards the basket more, which might actually be a good thing for us. And so, but yeah, going forward, we're going to have to be very cognizant of not becoming a jump shooting team. And especially Mike. I mean, Mike wants to shoot jump shots and can, but he's also really good on the block, and he needs to not fall out of love with offensive play on the block.
How do you feel where you guys are defensively right now?
You know, there are times when I look and I think, gosh, this looks really good, and then it's still about that consistency of sustaining it. And there were times in the exhibition game where we looked great, and then we had, stretches where we got scored on 3 or 4 times in a row, and that never feels good. So we need to keep, as we like to say, growing our defense and growing the consistency of it. And but I do think it has potential, and I think our guys are buying into what we're trying to do. And maybe as much as anything else, that might be the biggest difference from what they've done in the past. It actually might be more different on defense than it's been on offense. And so, but they seem to like it, and they seem to be embracing it. And so if we can continue to make it better, there are times when it's really good, though.